Hello, welcome back to Mutant Year Zero. This is episode 5, as you can obviously read from the YouTube description, of our Mutant Year Zero campaign. And I don't need to do a recap, I don't think, because you've already watched the previous 4 episodes to know that we have come back to our arc. So, handing over to Ed.
Wait, what? That was quick.
For us, it's been a month since we played session 4, so it's actually we might need to recap ourselves a little bit.
Me too. So that's
but you
fine.
won't. Hopefully, the audience won't need it because it's only been 2 weeks.
Yeah, if they can let us know, that'd be great. Yeah. So where we last left off, you'd come back from the underground bunker base of the Nova people, and you brought back with you Abatina, the pregnant woman who has an unborn baby. And this is the very first time ever that you or anyone else in the Ark has ever seen anyone who's pregnant. So it was quite a big deal when you kind of turned up back at the Ark with a guest, as it were. You haven't had anyone actually come to an Ark or come to the rest of the inhabitants of the Ark ever. You've never had that at all. So you did come in with a bit of an entrance and a bit of a flair, which left the various gang bosses in the Ark very kind of divided as to what to do. Where we last left off, I think pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to discuss the beginning of this session, just the rules around the Ark. We currently have 175 people who are part of the Ark. And while we've been doing the various sessions, I haven't been really kind of doing too much in the way of some of the rules. Just the way the game works is that every session, some people die in your Ark. So every session, I've been rolling some dice, and you're now down to 175 people. If you have a look at the in Foundry, you'll see there's an Ark character sheet which you should all have access to.
Yeah, let me just switch the feeds here. Yeah.
And you'll see there are sort of like, currently there's 175 people. Currently where your Ark is, which is in this temporary facility that you're in. But if you go into the last tab, which is info, you'll see that you've got a session body count. And so every session you roll a d6, and that's how many people die. So obviously at the end of each session you would roll for that. Now I haven't rolled for session 4, and so what I wanted to do was just kind of develop the Ark, which we haven't done as yet. So much like your characters, they've got sort of stats to it, and you'll see there are development levels: food, culture, technology, and warfare. Now, you as a group, every time you are in the Ark as characters, you as players can decide how you want this Ark to develop. So it's kind of like a mini game in a game. You kind of will then take on the role of the general people of the Ark, rather than just your set characters, to determine where you want the Ark to go, what kind of projects you want it to do, make decisions around the politics of the Ark, and also determine if you can essentially bring back trinkets or artifacts that you can take to the Ark, and people can research things, which will increase your development areas in various things. There's various projects that you guys could do. For example, just as an example, you could all decide one of the things you'd like to do as a project that the Ark does is, I don't know, start farming some pigs, for example. And what that would do is you take a certain amount of time to set up the sties and get the food and all that kind of thing. And at the end of that project, you would add to your food. So the whole point behind that is the more food you have, the better off you go. The less people die because they have access to food. And that pretty much works for all of the different headings. And so what you need to do is just kind of like start off with what you want to do. Now, normally, in a normal game, you would have the arc situated somewhere in the zone in a in a permanent position. Your arc is on the run and is kind of set up in this underground area, which is connected to this semi-circular forum place that you found.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't have to stay there. Currently, they've got, they're okay where they are, but it's not what I would say the most ideal place for an arc to be in. And so they're happy to obviously move around. If that's something you want to do, you could choose to sort of, go and raid the place that you've just been, which, let's face it, seems like a much better alternative than where you are at the moment. You probably have enough water to survive for, I don't know, maybe another 2-3 more sessions before you'd have to find a place to go and move to. And so then you have to kind of scout out locations, find out where you want to go. So that's something that you'll have to think about as a group, rather than just your characters. Where do you want to go with your arc? What do you want to do with it? And so I guess the first thing we want to do is you need to figure out a bit more about your arc. And so what I thought I'd do is just quickly ask you some questions around your arc, about what you'd like to do with it. So normally, what you do is you just kind of, we've done a bit of this already, is you kind of figure out where it would be in the zone. At the moment, you're all sort of like temporary. The type of arc it would be, so in the book, for example, you've got an example of an old ship, or you've got an old kind of like facility that you don't have access to at the moment. But what you do have is the bosses, which we've got. We've already set out some bosses for you. Other key NPCs, which we've kind of got some of those as well. The population, which we've already kind of started with, and they've been sort of slowly dwindling. A full-time water source, which we haven't got at the moment. It's only going to be around for like 2 or 3 sessions. And then the development levels. So you have 12 points to spend on your development levels. And as you can see, there are 4 of them. So in essence, it's a bit of a tricky one, because generally the development levels are in the following levels. 0 to 9, 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 plus. So actually, with your 12 points, you pretty much can't get anything out of the starting one, but you can start then looking at what do you want to do with it. So I'll just quickly, briefly, just go through what they are. So the food supply determines how hard it is to find something to eat in the ark. That's just pretty straightforward. The culture helps the people understand artifacts and other remains of the old age. So with that sort of thing, they can understand what various items do. So that will help you with your developmental stage, as well as that leads on to technology. The most important use of the technology development rating is to help the people to understand how artifacts are used. So you can go from being where you are at the moment to being able to use things. For example, later on, steam, electricity, which will obviously help with a lot of other things. And then last but not least is warfare, which is how much you can stand up to a fight to anyone that was going to attack the ark or your people. They all kind of give bonuses and modifiers.
And it's worth saying that the projects in the arc have prerequisites, have requirements, and some of those are development levels have to be about at a certain level or higher.
Yes. So for example, like I was saying, you could do something like, something really basic would be putting some palisades around, putting some defenses around your arc. That would require no development requirement. You'd need to have, if you want to put some points into it, you would require to have Force or Scout if any of your characters wants to help out. How long it would take, you have to get so many developmental points or work points to do that. So it could take a number of sessions. And then at the end of it, once your project is completed, in this case, it gives you plus 2d6 to your warfare level, because you've now suddenly got defenses and people on guard, that kind of thing.
Let's back up a step and look at the development levels and have a chat about that.
Let's have a quick
If we have
count of
12
those.
points to spread between them, and
Yeah.
bearing in mind that we've left behind our previous arc, I think from my perspective, it would make sense that our food supply is low, and our warfare level is also low because we don't have any kind of like defenses for our arc. So I'd suggest those being like even at 0, possibly. And saying, because we one of the elements of our boss makeup is that there's this kind of like intrigue happening with the chroniclers. So I think maybe that makes sense that technology is one that we have points in, that we've brought the knowledge of artifacts, and the culture one is understanding artifacts and remains of the old age. So maybe we could just split that and put 6 in each, and leave food and warfare at 0, and that would then mean that our initial projects in the arc should be focused around those 2 things, to either bump up our defenses, like bump up our warfare rating, or send out, one of the options we can do is send out a hunting party. That makes sense. Like, that doesn't really affect it's not like a permanent thing we're putting down in this location, right?
No, that's true.
So that kind of makes sense to me.
So they're called zone expeditions. You can kind of go out and look for things.
Oh no, there's one called hunting. The second one, hunting party. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good point. Yeah.
So that's specifically just to look for grub, whereas the zone expedition can be something else.
For very
You can get look for artifacts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I think my vote would be, it's pretty straightforward. One is to send out a hunting party. It doesn't take a long time. It's only 3 work points required, and it'll give us a bonus to our food supply rating. And if our food supply rating goes above 10, the number of people who die every session starts decreasing, which is also worth thinking about.
Yeah. Yes.
So that'd be my vote.
So from a sort of lore inside the universe point of view, if we are in a sort of fortified building now, I mean, with actual walls and gates and things, does it make sense that our warfare rating would be 0 though?
But we don't have any palace. It's more like having palisades and moat or things like that. But we don't really have that.
But the structure itself does have closable doors, right? Because we needed to open them to get in.
The basement did.
It's a basement underground place where you would put, it's an underground car park basically is where you're staying, under a amphitheater, or a ruined amphitheater. So you've got enough to kind of stay out of the wind and rain, but it's not exactly what you would call a secure place.
Okay.
So you still need to do something to it. And it's not exactly a permanent location for the moment. I mean, you could make it a permanent location by doing projects. Then you'd have to try and find a source of that's
water.
Not a problem.
Water's going to.
If you wanted to, you could do something to kind of like get water here, and that's not a problem. You could just make that as a narrative story, and you could just set down as your arc here if you wanted to. But there is one zone away. There is a bunch of angry cultists.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who have a very nice base.
They also have a very nice base. So,
they've already figured out pig farming. I mean,
it would come with the project, ish.
We need something else to feed the pigs. That's the only problem.
Yeah. So, there is that potential if you wanted to.
For early on, we could feed them with the cultists.
Yeah. So what's the thinking? Should we? Anybody else drawn to any of the other lists of projects? It's on page 104 of the PDF, by the way.
I haven't got it. I'll just quickly read it out to you. So the basic kind of ones are defenses, hunting party, cannibalism.
Oh, sure.
Chris. Cropland, slave market if you're so way inclined, a pigsty, a temple, zone wrestling, which you set up some games, a zone expedition. If you were to have 6 in culture and 6 in technology, you would also have access to building museum. Weird. Putting a statue up, also a bit strange at this moment in time. Building some watchtowers and being a little bit more kind of strategic. So that's the sort of stuff you'd be looking at. Anything else above that, you probably don't have the technology levels or the culture levels or all that kind of thing. So that's the sort of things you can do to start with. So I think really kind of basic level sort of stuff. I'm much in sort of like Matt's camp as to sort of the things you should do. If you were to use this as a temporary location, you pretty much would wear out its water and its supplies and everything else in the next couple of sessions.
Yeah.
What do you think, Rob?
Sorry. It's all right. I'm worried about the people that chased us to this point. I'm also worried about the cultists who will be looking for Albertina, and I'm also worried that we're going to starve. So if we can get some people out looking for food, I think that's going to be really important. Really, really important.
Well, I mean, you make a good point about being worried about our neighbors, in that we could do a raid. We could that would be a project. That'd be a zone expedition, I guess, right?
Yeah. That's I think.
And
I think
focus on that initially, because then we're being proactive, right? Rather than waiting for them to come to us.
Yeah, because they're just gathering. They're just they'll seek us out, scout us out, assess our numbers, and then they're making all the decisions.
Yeah, and we want to keep them on the back foot. I think, like, we know about their site, we know where it is. They don't know anything about ours, so we have the upper hand a bit, I think.
I very much agree. I think like the second we're sort of through the door, we need to get everybody up in arms.
Then you had an agitator, right?
I mean,
also we know there's food there, so that'll sort out, and water, so that kills some of our development level worries.
And I think our fellow Ark inhabitants, like, we've just been driven from our home. We don't want this to happen again. These people are, like, probably very much unwilling to invest anything into this this current structure that we're living in, when we think that we might be losing it again.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted the view of your 3 most influential gangs, you've got Trixie, who's more than up for doing something like that, but she thinks that, obviously, as far as she's concerned, Chunk, who's the muscle behind the bosses, is the one who should be leading that sort of thing, and she'd be more than happy to put her people behind Chunk and his people, but definitely Chunk should go up front. Chunk is happy to do that. He is more of a kind of do things himself and then worry about the issues later on. So he'd be more than happy to go and give them a show of force. Fink, who is the other one, who's probably the least, or he's not the strongest out of all of the gangs. He pretty much is happy to sort of play the long game. He believes that only by sort of by collecting the right technology, and he can quite easily, you think, be convinced if you were to say, hey, there's a bunch of technology in there, there's a load of stuff you could probably get for artifacts, he'd probably be on board too. So they're not opposed to the idea. And having seen you lot manage to do it yourself when you were pretty much expendable, if you can kind of go through there and come out the other side, hey, how hard can it be?
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty beaten up. I know exactly how hard it can be.
Wait, there's one less pig farm to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if the bosses are kind of up for it too, then I think it sounds like we're all in agreement, right? Do we agree on our dev levels, or is everyone okay with putting 6 each in culture and technology? Does that make sense?
Sounds absolutely right, and I think I think we wouldn't have lost those things on the run. I mean, we still remember how things worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So to give you an idea of your development levels, just to kind of, I quite like the way they give you descriptions of these. I'm going old school. I'm using the book. So for the development levels, for culture, with the exception of chroniclers, the people completely lack any form of cultural expression beyond tales or around the trash can fire. So talking about what's happened in the past, that kind of thing. As far as technology is concerned, apart from gearheads, most of the people don't really understand technology at all. What little the Elder has taught them has largely been forgotten, or most of the artifacts are incomprehensible to those that can do it. So all the gearheads and stuff are fine, but your average run-of-the-mill person who lives in the Ark doesn't really understand technology. They don't really use scrap weapons. They kind of have, knives and clubs, that kind of thing. And then obviously the other two are zeros. So you're struggling to find food, and pretty much, other than the basic stuff for warfare, you don't really have much else of anything. So the people that do have things are yourselves and the gangs that run them.
Yep. Cool. So how are we doing this? Do we want to spend some time? Are we spending some time like just recuperating in the
What have you heard?
Ark? That's a good question.
I'm weirdly enough not. I'm sort of thinking.
I guess in the game terms, in sort of like
Daryl was
terms,
hurt quite badly.
Yeah, you've probably since you left the Ark to go out exploring, it's been approximately 4 days.
Yeah,
which means it's been about 2.5 weeks since you ran away from your old Ark.
We didn't eat all of our. We didn't eat food and water. Oh, we ate at the place. Didn't we?
Yeah, you had some. Yeah.
So in terms of recovery, Dara's got some healing to do. We all have 1 point of rot, which we can try and get rid of while we're here back at our base.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, you can have a clean and try and get rid of rot.
Do we roll the yellow dice next to rot, or do we click on rot?
Indeed, I think it is. You
click on the rot. The word rot. Let me try. I'll click on the word rot. Yeah, and it brings up the thing to roll for it. So I'll do that.
All right.
Right. Okay. So it's handy.
Okay. So mine's gone.
Okay. Cool. Excellent. So hopefully you should. If anyone else is going to roll for their rot, it's gone. No, it's gone. Excellent.
Woohoo!
Look at that. You've all got rid of your rot. Hooray! You didn't get any permanent rot. That's always a good start.
Oh, doesn't that give us new mutations also? No, I'd rather not have rot. Thank you.
No.
No.
Rot doesn't give you mutations. It sounds like it should, but it doesn't.
It should do, but no. And so I'm just having a look. I'm going to be particularly generous. You can all have any damage that you've had healed.
Yeah, Dara.
So I think it's all sort of like, is it all physical damage or is it mental?
It was all physical for Dara.
Physical damage, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's not a problem. I'm going to be particularly generous today.
You don't have to be. I don't mind.
No, it's fine.
In my experience,
Take a hell of a beating.
you usually do look a gift horse in the mouth when it's a game master.
Yeah, just
What? No, I'm going to stay injured. I'm not going to go out of my way to not heal myself. Yeah, so coming back to the Ark, having conversations with everyone, you get to see everyone again, so all your friends. That just allows you to kind of rest up. And so the kind of conversation about what to do, how it's going to happen, it's going to be the three gangs, gang bosses, and the people that are part of the Chronicles. The Chronicles will have those conversations about what we're going to do, where we're going to go. As PCs, you also have your voice heard, and people will tend to kind of go with what the gangs and what you decide. And so, as a group of players, you can, if that's the decision you would like to make, then absolutely, then we could do it a zone expedition into into the Nova Cult's place to go do a raid, or alternatively go do some hunting. So the way this would work is if you are involved in it, you can add your roles, your skills that are required for it, to do whatever needs to be done. If you're not involved in it, and none of you are at the Ark or part of an expedition, then it's down to the NPCs and the gangs, that kind of stuff. And so I get to make an arbitrary roll, and you could get everything going perfectly well. It could go horribly wrong, and you lose some people. So it's always good to have PCs along for the ride. But sometimes if your Ark is over here and you're about 20 sectors away, you don't necessarily have that option. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That seems like a plan.
I guess the thing to talk around now is how zone expeditions work. And
yes.
Normally there's like a procedure for it, which isn't really going to apply in this case, because you roll some dice to figure out how far away the expedition point is, but we know where that is. One thing we have to decide is which of the 4 development levels will be increased by doing this expedition. The expedition being to take the Nova base, right?
Yeah. So there is an expedition. There is a zone expedition to set up a new.
There is a new Ark.
Yes, you can set up a new Ark. There is actually one for setting up a new Ark. It's not till later on.
Okay.
But that's essentially what you're going to be doing. You're going to be raiding it, and then with that will come. I've really kind of thought about this. If you were going to raid it, what points would I give you for development?
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we don't need to think about that. Cool.
So that's helpful. So that's good. So yes, we already know where the target sector is and how long it will take. It's literally over the road.
Unfortunately. Well, fortunately.
Well, unfortunately, so good for you.
Yeah.
So under normal circumstances, you would look at, whether you want to go for the grab, the culture, and the rest of it, which is fine. So you're going in there with your PCs, which is great. So you get to add your own stint to it. So this is going to be interesting because there are no actual rules for mass combat and stuff like that, but that's okay.
There is a homebrew one.
I didn't know that.
Called mass. I think it's called Mass Combat. Written by Stefan.
That's what it says on the tin.
I haven't actually. I did skim it when it first was released, but I not long enough. I haven't read it recently enough to be able to tell you what it says. But I can have a quick browse of it if you want while you're.
We can blag it as we go. That's fine. I don't mind.
Oh, there are also rules for stronghold battles in Forbidden Lands. Which,
yes, there is.
Which might also be a place we could look at.
I guess I could kind of look at. There is actually for this. There is a because when you set up an arc in this in Mutant Year Zero, other things could come and attack your arc, and so there was a way to add your warfare against their warfare to determine what happens, which is something I could do. Although your warfare is currently 0, so it's not a great bonus to add. Yeah. Yes.
I wonder. I mean, I don't know what I want. What I want the boss's decision or opinion to be, but I wonder. I wonder if the high school where we found the prophet should somehow factor in our scheme.
To do that would make also a good starting place for an arc.
I mean, I do think the other, like the whatever army base is much more exciting because it has a food source and everything, and is very, very, very defendable.
Yeah.
But the question is the school possibly preferable to our current place? Like, could this be like sort of a waypoint, or could something be gained from that?
I think you could take the old woman in the
Yeah.
tower, so you're okay.
She didn't seem like she put up much of a fight.
I mean, the way
That's a
that
good
we
point.
snuck up on there, it was really great to keep watch on.
That's a really good point, actually, because if we're going to be going to war anyway, we could split the arc up and say the people who aren't really fit for joining our fight, they could go and occupy the school, because that's kind of like an act of aggression, but we're already going to attack them anyway. And that way, if things go south, we can always retreat back to the school, which would be easier to defend, potentially. That's a good point.
Nicely made.
I think I'm just kind of noodling the idea of turning that into our main arc, but because it also, like, it's on a hill, which is nice. But it seemed like it already had some defenses, like
It does, yeah.
Cars situated at certain points to like block people's access and etc.
It would be very easy to reduce the number of work points that are required to put the defenses up.
Yeah, but we still need to take care of the Nova cult.
I mean, they certainly know everything there is to know about the high school. I should
That's
presume.
true.
So that's
If we move there and then we wait to attack,
strategic, no, not much of a strategic advantage to be there. But again, like if we maybe fail to take them out, or again, like if it's necessary to split the arc, that's probably a better option than just rooting around in the vicinity of the stadium, hoping for something better.
There is also the moral dilemma that we did promise Abertine that her and her baby would be safe.
Yeah, I mean, Abertine is not going to want to come with us to the.
No, but she's happy to be safe. But she definitely can give you an advantage, as in she can tell you where everything is,
how many of them there are,
and she's more than happy for you to slaughter them all.
Yeah.
They've got it coming.
Specifically,
such bad hosts.
The ruler and the person who planted his seed in her. She is absolutely 150% behind that. Kill them slow, and make sure they suffer, please. Would be her preferability of how you deal with them.
Oh.
I've watched enough Walking Dead to know that you don't just dead is preferable.
That is good,
But yeah,
it's enough. Yeah,
dead's enough. Okay, so how are we doing this? Are we gonna split the arc up until like advise the bosses to send to abandon this amphitheater, and for however many to. I mean, we want to bring as many people as we can who can fight with us. It's just a case of how many is that going to be from the 175 that we have?
I presume everybody who's made the escape from the other place already was kind of fairly fit.
Yep.
Do we set a trap?
Yeah, I mean, you're all in various stages of. So some people haven't eaten, some people have. So there are people who are quite weak. So the people that are quite weak would have to obviously not go and fight. And Fink is more than happy to help them do that. So that
okay.
So Fink will happily go to that level, and Trixie will also help as well, because she's not particularly great at being up front. But that's Chunk's job. Obviously, Chunk is more than happy to go straight in there and beat the living daylights out of whoever.
He's our warlord, right?
He is indeed your warlord. So you could,
So numbers wise, what are we looking at? How many would go with us to attack, and how many would be going to the school?
And how many does Abatina think we're up against?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
Abatina says there's probably in the region of around about 30 to 40 cultists. You have 175, but they have some scrap rifles. You have got the odd scrap rifle here or there, but mostly you have bits of wood, some sharpened bits of metal. So they have probably a better technological advantage over yourselves. But you have the numbers. So you probably reckon you could field 100 and so, maybe 110 of the 175 that would be in any fit state that has mutations that would help in a offensive way. Ish.
I mean, there's bound to be people in our arc who will, and there's bound to be people in the Nova cult who can also likewise have good mutations for that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, that sounds 100. You said how many? 125?
Yeah, probably 115 to 125.
Okay. Should you make it nice and round and just say 50 are going off to the school?
I presume our elder is also going to go?
Oh yeah, our elder's not going to come with us.
Yeah, your elder's not going anywhere near you. No, he's in and out of consciousness, so he's not. He won't be coming with you.
Okay. I'm just bearing in mind that this is we're kind of doing all this planning live for this show.
Yeah, 50 to 40, 30 to 40 people. Do we set a trap?
What do you mean for
at the school
if they
garage?
think we're taking up residence at the school with Abatina, want the lunatic cult leader want to get her back, and so if we put a small amount, like maybe 15 people, including then perhaps they'll go in as a show of force, and then we can just take them by surprise, a rearguard action.
That's a good point, because they're going to be wanting to get Bettina. What was her name again? Abatina?
Abatina is the name of the
Abatina. They're going to want to get her back for sure.
I mean, we could use her as bait.
Yeah.
We could.
Nice and subtle, please.
So yeah, I mean, we could try that, because I think if we try and attack, just go straight in and attack their base, they're gonna have defenses that we're gonna have to put up. We're gonna have to fight against. But if we can attack them while they're out,
we can just close the door.
Yeah.
There is that.
But if we can somehow trick a mass number of them out, thinking that they've got superior numbers, then we can obliterate them.
That's a good idea. Yep. I'm all for it.
Yep, we can do that.
We choose where the battle's going to happen.
Yeah.
And where would you choose that to be?
I think the school.
The school. Okay. Yeah, you could do that.
There was quite a lot of the school wasn't just all on its own, right? It was in a residential area, if I remember correctly, or not.
So there is it's on a hill.
Yeah.
And we came from that graveyard, right? And then
It's below the school. The way you came, there is a woodland and a graveyard, and a dark, dank, horrible pond. You go up the hill. The hill itself is surrounded by multiple layers of defenses, or at least it was defenses, however long time ago, which it's over the course of many years have been kind of breached, and so no one was obviously there anymore. So yeah, it's kind of at the top of a hill. You don't know what's on the other side. There's, in fact, I can tell you.
I think it's pretty straightforward what we need to do, right? We just have the massive group of forces hidden off to one side, so they can kind of keep an eye on a troop of cultists coming towards the school. We have, I don't know, about 30, 40 fighting people inside the school, so it looks like there's a decent amount of people at the school, but not too many that they can't be taken necessarily. And then basically wait for the cult to start their attack, and once they're focused on the school, everyone comes up from behind, and we basically get them in a classic sort of whatever it's called, sandwich pincher whatever maneuver.
Yeah, sure. And they're happy. That seems like a plan.
I mean, it would mean the people inside the school would be attacked without superior numbers to start off with, but we'll have some defenses there at least.
And ideally we can make it so that the sandwiching happens outside the defenses, so that they
ideally
will be
but we'll have so many
only to
numbers
our
anyway.
folks. Yeah,
I think it would probably be all right.
Okay, so that's all good. How will you get them there?
Who? The cultists?
Yeah.
Well, we'll let them know that we have Abatina.
How would you know that? How would you let them know?
They will come and check on their profit, and they'll just see us there.
I've got this, right? They know they're looking for us, the three of us too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I will be bait, but we shouldn't have Abatina really risk her getting recaptured, right?
No.
So she goes straight away with the Elder and the first group to the school with some people to protect them.
Yeah.
I stay with a small group of, say, 5 or so mutants, and we wait until we know the cult are approaching, and then we move to the school knowing that they've seen us. So we're kind of luring them to follow. And then I will go with the people that are with us directly into the school behind the barricades. And then I can use my agitating, annoyingness to get them to attack me. And while the two of you and the rest of the bulk of the force swoop on behind
one.
and clean up.
Okay, yeah, that seems to make sense. Okay, I'll let that.
Because if they see me, then they're gonna know that Abatina will be not far behind, kind of.
Yes.
Okay. So, what? I guess my question then is, if, say, first thing in the morning, the arc moves out, where if the cultists don't turn up on that day or on a different day or whatever, where would the cultists stay? Where would the arc stay? They will all just move into the building on the hill?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's becoming our new temporary arc, kind of.
Okay. That makes sense. That is cool. Okay. I'm happy with that. Let me... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that seems like a plan. I mean, it's only going to take you, a day to get there, and you can already show them to where they need to go. So by the end of a brand new day,
make sure they don't catch pond rot.
Yeah, as long as they don't catch any kind of rot, they would be able to be in the new temporary arc.
I guess we need to make sure that the two bosses who are going there, Trixie and what was his other name?
Funk.
Nay, Fink.
Yeah.
That there's this old woman there.
Yes.
And just, I mean, they're the bosses. They can decide what happens to her.
Okay.
No, they've got to be nice to her. She was nice to us.
Yeah. She's also a cult fanatic, cultist. I don't know.
Just because she's old and blind and you need somebody to look after her.
Another mouth to feed, isn't it?
It is. And Chunk says if she's old and blind, it's easy to get to a blind spot.
Oof.
Yep. He's pretty sure he can deal with her. Don't worry about that.
But Chunk says
the bravery. The bravery. Yeah.
But Chunk's not going into. Chunk shouldn't be going to the school. He should be getting his force ready for camp, X number of days of camping.
He's not so happy about
that. Does Bettina have any opinion on the old lady?
She used to be like her, a priestess, and so therefore, she's probably suffered as much as she has, but she's indoctrinated into their ways of thinking.
But is she? Change. I mean, she's an elder. Does she, despite her mental deficiencies, doesn't she have wisdom that we can
She's
mine?
Just old. She's going to die anyway, isn't she? This is Abertina's kind of view.
But all the culture and technology
just because you're old, that doesn't make you sort of wise, does it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
I mean,
no fool like an old fool.
Our elder would like to disagree if he still could.
He would, and so would most of you, because he's an elder, therefore he's
yeah.
So she's obviously got a completely different view to the rest of the arc when it comes to elders.
Well, I do have a soft spot for the old lady, but if I'm sent out there scouting, I mean, I might not be there to see whatever happens.
I think there's a point to be made here about we don't know when they're going to come to attack, and having everyone camping out in the middle of a rot-filled wasteland is probably not a great idea without proper supplies or provisions or whatever. So maybe it makes more sense for the attacking force to remain at the existing arc and hiding, kind of.
Well, we had when we arrived at the high school, we were alerted by a bell.
There is indeed a bell.
Yeah,
and it wasn't. The bell was ringing, and it wasn't until later that we saw people arrive.
Yeah, we don't know what the ringing.
Yeah, whether that was just a ritual, at midday, I'm always going to ring this bell, or whether the bell was a summoning.
I mean, there's a point to be made that it could help to summon. So if we're heading in the direction of the school to lure them, and when they see us, they start ringing the bell, then that will hopefully help continue to pull the cultists in. Well, all I'm thinking is maybe it makes more sense for the attacking force to stay at the amphitheater in hiding, kind of, until we draw them out, and they go past the amphitheater then, and then they can come up from behind and just kind of follow. If that makes sense, rather than camping out. That doesn't make a lot of sense. That's probably rot rolls that Ed's going to be rolling. And, survival rolls to see how well people are braving the elements. So if we've got two potential temporary arcs, why don't we use both of them? I think
take all the fun out of it, Matt.
Oh.
Yeah, no, that's perfectly That makes perfect sense.
Do we have
It does
anything-
mean that if they attack the temporary arc, the schoolhouse or whatever you'd like to call it, you will be 2 zones away. So it will take you a day and a bit to get there.
Well, no, we've traveled through the zones already.
Oh, no,
right?
you have. So it will take you 2 hours. No, actually, still got 2 hours of them potentially being.
You mean like if they attack before, like before we've seen them?
Yeah. Because they might not come past your.
That's
neck of
true.
woods. They might go down and across.
And we didn't escape in a way that we wanted them to be able to follow us either.
No.
Well, maybe the bait needs to go traveling out there to just, like lure them out.
No. You're a good bait. That sounds good.
I mean,
We've got 175 NPCs for me to choose from if I die for my next character. Okay, in the interest of moving this along, maybe let's do that then. I'll take a bunch of like the speediest, the fastest moving ones that we've got, and see about luring them. The ones who are heading off to the school, we basically tell them if you get attacked, start ringing that bell.
I totally want to be bait. My nice hoppy legs need action.
Oh, then you be the bait. Then you be the bait. But then you're gonna
right?
It doesn't really matter, I guess. It's however like, yeah. And that makes like you've got a better move as well than me. So if it's a case of like trekking, I think you've got more than one move, right?
No.
Well, you got 5 agility and 1 move. So that's a lot more than I've got.
It's just the agility, not the move. Yeah. But, exactly. It doesn't matter in the end.
So yeah, I think maybe that makes more sense. Then I'll be waiting at the school then, I guess.
I'll be agitated.
Okay.
And what's Dara going to be doing?
I'll be waiting to attack
with the big force.
Yeah. Unless I've got pretty good wits and strength and intimidate and fighting. Unless that's more useful in the notion of defending the school.
I think go with what you'd rather do, and we'll just like what are you gonna have more fun doing as a player? Let's go with that.
That's it.
Wholesale slaughter.
There you
I've
go.
got very little empathy, so yeah. I don't like these people.
Yep.
Okay. So
that makes sense.
And are you going to be camping out at the amphitheater then? Does that make the most sense? So the idea is that
yes,
Gia is going to draw them out past the amphitheater, so that they yeah. Okay.
We could also string out a couple of scouts. Sort of 20-minute apart, so that's
true.
We've got a chain of scouts at least.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, guess what? It means that Chris, the whole kind of teasing them out is all going to be down to you, I'm afraid to say.
Woohoo!
Woo! So you're going to take a handful of fast, spree, jumpy, quick other Ark inhabitants with you. That's good. So what's the plan then? To go there, pretend to be seen?
Yes.
You got to sell it, right?
You're gonna have to sell it.
You're gonna have to really sell it that you're not there to lure them out. You're there to cause mischief or something.
Oh, do you think we should make them think we're about to attack them?
I was thinking more like go to like try and steal some pigs or something. Make it look like a raid.
Yeah, I would have gone for maybe like make a show of scouting them out so that they think that they. Oh no, but then. Ooh. I mean, we know they want to attack us in order to get Abatina back, if nothing else.
They want Abatina back, yeah. We don't know what their appetite is for attack. They didn't have. Oh, they did have weapons. You said, yeah.
Mhm.
And they, I guess at this point they might not entirely have lost the appetite for more recruits. I don't know how that works.
Maybe.
Or just more pig feed. But yeah, like I'm thinking, sort of approaching their compound, sort of making a big show of sort of scouting out the lay of the land, and I mean it's not unrealistic either, because like we were led there blindfolded, right?
Yep, that's fine. Yeah.
So I mean, we don't, in all actuality, really know what it's like, because with the one time we didn't see, and the other time we were running really quick.
Yep.
So-
Well, I'll tell you what. Sell it for me. Why don't you make a manipulation roll?
Woohoo! Where's my mouse? Come on, one.
Well, you blag it for the scouts that are watching you scout.
Manipulation is totally not my strong suit. Go well, please. Yeah.
I'll do it. Yeah, you sell it well.
No, that's a
No.
failure.
Wait,
That's a failure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
failure. Oh, well.
Oof.
Okay, well,
You can push that. You can push that.
push it.
I
You wanna
do.
push it?
I will. I have to. How do we do this? It doesn't have a push option, does it?
At the top of your character sheet, there's a push button.
Ah, there it is. Yes. Thank you.
Oh God!
Hmm.
Oh, it's pushing twice again.
No.
It's a bit strange.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I'm happy with that. Okay.
No.
So you go to make such a show of that you're not actually going to be scouting, but you don't want to be seen, but you are seen. But in doing so,
This is the worst I've ever seen anybody scout. We're wearing our iron shoes to do the scouting.
it's
and
very
all the
difficult for you
bells.
because you're trying really hard to be really bad at what you're doing, and you go out of your way to be really bad. But in doing so, you kind of get too close. And when you get too close, two of the other inhabitants that are in the zone are with you, and you fail to spot some man traps that are actually, you assume, dotted around the site, and they basically put their feet into the man traps and sever their feet.
Oh.
So they obviously start screaming. At that point, some of the cultists appear and start taking some pot shots at you, which means that you and a couple of your other two people that are with you have to leave your inhabitants there, as they are basically, you run off and they kind of get dealt with, which means that you lose two people. So I'm going to modify your
Kill them before you run away. If you're going to leave them, kill them if they know the plan.
It's true.
Do they know the plan?
I don't think I have that kind of weapon on me. I'm a bow and arrow kind of person.
You can shoot him with a bow and arrow.
Yeah, you can
I mean,
shoot them with a bow and arrow.
I'm not there. I've just suggested that perhaps we might not have told everyone the plan.
Whatever reason, they're left there and you have to run off. But they do see which direction you run off. So you can run off for a while and wait to see if anyone else is going to be following.
The point about killing them before they can betray any of our plan is really good. I'm just wondering if
I think we're smart enough to compartmentalize.
The thing is really, do I want to spend my scarce arrows on that? Doesn't any of my friends have a knife, for God's sake? Why don't I have one?
They can do. They're not particularly happy. They want to kind of like drag them off, but they can't.
But they're
drag
footless.
them off.
I mean,
exactly. So
they're just going to bleed out before we reach the school.
Their friends that they've known for all their life, they want to save them. But
well, we've all seen how my manipulate goes. So can I borrow their knife?
Tell you what you can do. You can make a manipulate roll to see you can get it. You've got 2 dice.
I sure do. Damn it. Why is this?
I love it when plans go horribly wrong.
No. And you can push that one too.
You can push that one as well.
You don't want to break. You don't want to break.
No. Not before the battle's even started.
Cool. You try and kind of convince them, but they're like, no, we'll come back and get them when we've got time. And you guys leg it. Okay.
All right.
So if you decide to wait for people to come and chase you, follow you up, or do you want to just leg it and go and say, help, the plan's gone horribly wrong?
No,
I have an idea, but it's not really.
I want to see them. I want to see them follow.
Okay. So you wait, and after a few hours, there are a few scouts coming in your direction.
After a few hours?
Yes.
Oh gosh, hopefully our friends have bled out by now. Oh.
And presumably you're then going to try and lead them to where you need to lead them. That's fine. That is going to be for you. I'm actually going to give you a wits plus.
Thank you. I much appreciate that this is not my last manipulate roll.
In fact, I think a wits plus know the zone. Yeah, just to kind of like take them in the right direction where you want to go. That makes more sense.
Well, that should be easy now, right?
Yeah. You want to keep them just far enough away to follow you without them knowing that they're being,
what could go wrong?
Hey.
They'll do it. That's cool. Yeah. So you basically you get them to follow you all the way back to, past. So obviously this is not a large force, this is just a scouting force.
I yell to one of my friends, oh no, they can't find Albertina.
That's awful. But yeah, okay, yep. So you obviously don't have a large force following you, you've only got like a scouting force. Are you still going to take them back to the school?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you do that, and they follow you all the way to the school. You can see them following you until you get into the school, and you realize they've then stopped. At that point, presumably no one's going to attack them. Are they?
When we're kind of waiting for Gia and the scouts to come. When they do come, we should have Albertina come out of the school to like point at them and like just make a show of like, oh, she's definitely here.
Yep.
Oh, the poor thing.
Yeah, she's more than happy to do that. She takes her role very seriously.
All right.
Yep, that's fine.
And then when the scouts are back, I think we should send a show of force out to like drive the scouts away.
Oh, that's fine.
So be like, yeah, get out of here. We've taken this place now.
Yeah. This is going to be Dara's job, right?
Yeah, that's Dara's job.
Yeah.
Well, Dara's not here though. Dara's not at the school.
No. So somebody else does that. Basically scares them off, and they kind of run off. You probably figure by the time they get back, they won't be back until tomorrow. And so you kind of keep your plan in motion, and poor old Gia ends up having a conversation. Well, we'll see. You kind of end up speaking to some people, and they'll kind of like say you did a really good job, etc., etc. And you can have a point of empathy back.
Oh.
There was one thing I wanted to ask you as well. Things have moved a bit quickly. I have a talent called Performer, which is once per session. If I'm in the Ark, I can perform for the people, tell a story by a trash can fire, recite poetry, sing a song.
Yep.
I roll to inspire, and every success gives me bullets or rations of grub.
Okay.
A failed roll means someone doesn't appreciate your art. So I was thinking that maybe while I'm at the school, because there's probably a lot, people are probably really tense that we're about to have this big battle, right?
Yep.
That I can regale them with tales of not like poetry or anything like that, but just like tell them a story about
like a story you've heard about in the past, or
regale them with a story.
Red Dawn or Toy Soldiers. Or...
yeah, go on then. Why don't you make a roll for that?
And I'm aiming for bullets here, I think.
Okay.
Let me just look at my gear very quickly. Yeah, I've got 5 grub. I don't need more grub. So I'm rolling Inspire, which is a pretty big dice pool. 2 successes. So nice. It said every success gives me D6 bullets or rations of grub. So I'll roll 2D6 for bullets. As I'm passing my hat around the blades. So I got 6 bullets out of that. Okay.
That makes sense.
That's me done then.
Paul, are you gonna pretty much wait and see?
Yes.
Yeah.
Coiled like a sponge.
Okay. Okay, that's cool. So you kind of wait. It's a very tense. It would have been a lot more tense evening if it wasn't for your storytelling, which kind of makes you feel a little bit better, Gia. The next morning, you kind of have got scouts out, and Dara finds out from one of the scouts that there is a larger group moving in on the school. But they're not coming your direction. They're going the direction that they went last time, which is directly south, and then
their usual route to the school.
Their usual route. But that's fine because it gives you plenty of time to kind of prepare yourselves to kind of go down to the next zone and just kind of meet them or come behind them as they go into the zone.
We'll move out, preparing ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Which you do. So there's probably about 25, 30 people. So they're not all there, but there is a good selection of them. You do not see Plutonia. She is not there. But you do see the others who you know well. They kind of make their way to the school. They're not being particularly sneaky. They have a selection of weapons. Most of them have got hand weapons, sort of like knives and swords or scrap axes, that kind of thing. But there's a few of them that have scrap pistols or scrap rifles, or bows and arrows, that kind of thing. And so they appear to be loaded for bear. And they are going exactly the same way you all planned it. They're all going to go and make their way to the school. When they get there, are you going to wait for them to do something, or are you going to surprise them, Dara?
I want them committed to the attack.
Okay. In that case, while you wait in situ, I think actually what I would like from, I guess, you're kind of leading them. So if you want to make a sneak roll.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh dear. Okay.
We'll just use yours for the general group.
That's bad, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a failure. You can push it though.
Push it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep, that'll do.
Plus you get a mutation point out of it too.
Yeah, and you get a mutation point, which is good. So yes, you manage to avoid the slip up, and you stay behind them, actually fairly close, ready to spring into action. It's at that point that they kind of start shouting at you to come out, give us Abatina. She's not yours, she's ours. And a lot of other unsavory things. They say that you killed one of theirs, which obviously you know is not the case.
I would like to be outside in the school, and I would like to try and be heckling them, for want of a better word.
Okay.
Like really riling them up when they're shouting stuff and trying to push their buttons, and try and get them to attack. So is that, I guess, a manipulation or an inspire?
You've got the agitator thing, right?
Oh, I guess you could make. There's an argument for using that on other people.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that idea. Yeah.
Okay.
Use that. Yeah.
So it's my inspire roll plus 2 modifier.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just gonna make a roll for them.
Look at least what inspire says. I guess we're just using it as a kind of a normal skill roll, right?
Yeah, just as a normal skill roll.
All right, here we go then.
Wow.
Oh, that's a ton of dice.
3 successes will do it. I'm not going to need to push that.
Oh, they're so mad.
Which is that?
Okay.
Is that 9 dice?
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you rile them up properly. So much so that they get so angry that they attack. They don't really kind of use much in the way of tactics.
Good.
Which gives you an opening to attack them from the rear. And I'm going to use some judgment here. Could you please, using sort of like the attacking the arc kind of roll, you will get two dice to roll versus their 1 dice.
This is Dara's.
So Daros, this is your dice roll to roll.
Just what, 2d6?
Just two of the dice.
How do I? Well, one second. That's the dice roll.
If you just type into the chat /R space 2d6, that'll do it.
Jeez.
Snake eyes.
Oh.
Okay. No, actually, it's not as bad as you think. Right.
Well, that's good.
So, yeah, you kind of like come out. They very quickly realize what's happening, but they're very disorganized themselves. And you end up with this bloody melee that happens on sort of like the winding road that goes up through the various defenses to the school. It's not pretty, it's not nice, but you get the job done. It's you take some losses your side as well. Right. You managed to get what you wanted. Are you, Dara, looking to kind of just wipe them out, all of them?
If there is anyone who surrenders,
Yeah.
they will strip, they will put their clothes and their armor to one place, and then we'll kill them.
Okay. So, yeah.
What happens for the defenders of the house before Dara's force came in? Because they would have had ample opportunity to attack us first.
Sorry, what was that?
Well, before Dara's force came in from the back, they had
Yeah.
already started to attack us, and they've got like ranged weapons and things. So have you included that in the rolls that you've done as well? Okay.
Yeah. Dara, or any one of you, can you roll 2d6? That is how many of your inhabitants die in the
Chris, do you wanna? You haven't rolled yet, I think.
Yes.
Because I've been so super lucky so far.
So
in the chat, just
Alright.
do forward
forward
slash
slash
R.
R,
Yeah.
2d6.
All I'm thinking is that we now need to go back to the 7 people. Oh,
So 7 of your
That's
so
exactly
many.
like median value for 2d6. That's fine.
yeah, I mean, in the grand
Could've been
scheme of
worse.
things, I mean, you've killed sort of 30 odd of them, but you've lost 7, so down to
Yeah, plus the 2 without the feet.
yep, you're down to 166 population.
Fine.
right, we now need to wear their clothes and take Abertina back
Yep.
to the asylum.
You
So-
are a devious little.
I've got really high wits and really low empathy.
That doesn't necessarily mean you're like a serial killer, though.
No, I know that. I'm very good at getting things done.
I mean,
Yes. So
he's doing a Bettina a favor, and she's really nice. So
as PCs, I'm going to be very generous with you. They have a couple of scrap rifles and a couple of scrap pistols, which you may, if you wish, to take.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm gonna have any inventory, actually.
So you can decide who wants what. If you want some more arrows, that's fine. You can roll 2d6 extra arrows. And you can roll each of you for whatever weapon you decide to take. You can have an extra roll 2d6 for your bullets.
The stats for the 2 weapons are on page 87, by the way. At the bottom there's a table, ranged weapons.
Mm-hmm.
You said scrap pistol and scrap rifle, right? 2 of each?
Yeah, there's 2 of each. So
The stats are identical. One's just the rifle has long range and the pistol has short range.
Yep.
I'll go for a pistol then.
Yep.
It's not a light weapon? That's interesting.
So
I'm not particularly good with. Sorry, Chris.
Go ahead.
You're both really good at long-range weapons, aren't you?
I'm just checking. The bow is long range, so I would profit more from having short range also, I guess. But then that would leave you with 2 rifles. I don't know how much you want that.
Well, we don't have to take them. We don't have to take everything.
Have to take them. No. So your other colleagues will have them as well. The other NPCs from the gangs are more than happy to strip them for their stuff. They will happily take them.
But I'd love the scrap pistol. That would be very cool.
So you've got some of those.
Ah,
And there's a
Why
bunch
did
of
my-
other stuff that they have,
why did my
which
sheet just close?
gets
Damn
absorbed
it.
into the group that's going to go with you back to the HQ.
Yeah, I think what we need to do here is have, well, I don't know whether they were all in their weird white cloaks, but I can't imagine they weren't not.
They are indeed in their sort of like grey white kind of cloaks. They do have them.
But there's going to be a lot of blood there.
Yeah, they are stained a bit of red.
So I think
Well, they would be bloody after, they've beaten us up.
the group, I think, who are going to be our Trojan horse, including Albertina, if she's okay with this, need to act like they're maybe desperate to get back, as if they're not just they're victorious, but you need
chased.
They're being chased because you need to. Any good con relies on a time frame, like a counting down clock, and you need to stop people thinking sensibly and giving them time. You need to keep them on short decisions.
Yeah.
So I think if they see their group coming back with Albertina but panicked, then they're going to open up, and then we kill them.
Okay.
Does that sound plausible?
Seems plausible. Makes sense to me. You hope they're
Brilliant.
hopefully no one's got any special kind of codes and stuff. Halt who goes there kind of stuff. Yeah, that would make sense.
We've still got Albertina with us who can
You still
give
have
us some
Albertina with you.
insight into those sorts of things, potentially.
So yeah, so she'll basically mention that, if that's the
Gosh,
case.
I feel really sorry for
know.
making her walk back into the lion's den.
Yeah, I know.
she's happy with that. She's managed to get herself a hand weapon.
Oh, that's good.
She's more than happy to stick whatever it is into Plutonia.
She deserves that too.
Yeah, I mean she's straggly. She's kind of obviously ready to pop, and she's still ready to sort of like fight at the same time.
Are we still leaving a contingent of people back here at the house just in case? Or are you going to bring everybody to the new place just on the idea that this is now our arc, and not try and split the... if people escape...
Let's leave the elderly hurt people behind.
I mean, if we're going to leave anybody behind, we should leave at least a decent amount of people, because if some of the cultists manage to escape, I don't want them running back to the school where we've left our elder and a lot of other people.
Yeah.
Oh no, definitely.
That makes sense.
So we can leave some of the bosses, or at least one of the bosses back there too.
Sure.
I'm half.
Think is happy to stay here.
Half thinking Fink would be the one, right?
Yeah, I'll stay here. It's fine. So that's not a problem. So you're going to make your way back to the Nova headquarters with a good contingent of the rest of your arc, with some of you dressed in the kit to make to manipulate your way inside the actual arc, which sounds like a good plan to me. Are you going to leave directly, so when you get to the arc, you'll get there at night? Or do you wait and then go back for the morning?
I feel like we should probably wait and do it in the morning. It's how many? It's 3 sessions away, right? Or 3 zones away?
3 zones away.
So we're talking like 6 hours.
Yeah.
So if we leave in the morning, we'll get there around noon-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Having a battle in the dark would give them such an advantage because we don't know the area and we know it's booby trapped.
Yeah, I don't think it sounds like a good idea, personally.
Not even thinking about ghouls.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let's
Yep.
show up in the high school.
Okie dokie. That sounds like a plan. I think that pretty much leaves us done for this session, which means we can do a bit of a raid on the Nova HQ next session. I think.
Sounds good.
That sounds like a plan.
Do you want to do experience?
I can indeed do some experience.
Let's pull up
let's
the journal entry, wherever that was.
Yeah.
Under your mutant, I think. Develop your mutant. Experience. Here we go. Did you participate in the session?
Yep, you did indeed.
Did you perform a day's work for a project? Arguably, yes, because this
actually, yes, you did.
the Zone Expedition
I
is a
think so.
project.
This is indeed the project, so yes, you did.
Did we explore at least one new sector? No.
Nope.
Did we sacrifice or risk something for our PC buddy? Don't think so.
Nope.
Please tell me my buddy wasn't somebody who ended up in that trap.
Hopefully it's one of you.
No, it's one of us.
Buddies.
One of us. The next one is: did you sacrifice or risk something
Sacrifice
for the
something.
NPC you want to keep safe? So if you had specified that one of them coming with you was the one you wanted to keep safe,
Yeah, then that would have been bad for you.
but you would have had to have done something to
No,
kind of
that's
try
fine.
and keep them safe. Did you
Yeah.
sacrifice or risk something to mess with the NPC you hate? No, not really.
No.
And did you sacrifice or risk something to reach your big dream? I mean, that's an interesting one.
Not
I mean-
feel hungry.
It's not mine necessarily, but I think Gia,
No.
you've got one
Got a
which is
picture
about
of it, taking things
somewhere
further, wasn't it?
quiet where no one tells you what to do.
You're right. A new arc is kind of. I mean, yeah.
Mm,
I could see that.
I'm just thinking you're probably the only one with there being like an argument to be made. Yeah.
You can make a good argument, Chris.
I mean,
Well, that's it,
I mean, finding us new quarters is sort of the only thing that's keeping me going at this point. And but if I didn't think that it could be done, I'm not quite sure how I would recover from having sacrificed my buddies over there.
So we're saying 2 XP altogether.
2 XP, yeah. 2
Everyone?
XP for everyone.
Did we mention? I think we forgot to mention at the beginning that we had spent the 10 XP that we'd all earned
Yes. we
prior
have
to the
that.
start of the session. So,
Yeah.
just for people who might have wondered how some of us had more talents, that's why.
Yes. I think almost everyone took a new talent and then a new skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for people wondering, the way it works in Mutant Year Zero is quite simple, actually. It costs 5 experience points for any new rank in a skill. There are no kind of
Not enough.
prerequisites. If you have 3 ranks in a skill and you want the 4th, it just costs 5 XP. And if you want any new talent, you also just have to spend 5 XP. So it's pretty straightforward. All right.
Brilliant.
Thanks very much, Ed.
Brilliant.
Thank
No
you.
problem.
Thanks everyone for watching, and if you haven't already, if you could hit the subscribe and like button, as that helps the channel to grow. Otherwise, we will see you next time for episode 6 as we go to try and see if we can find a new home. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.